Okay, today I'm going to be trying out my brand new, well, new to me, I actually bought it used, but my Garmin Zumo XT. This is something that's been on my wish list for a long time, and so we'll see how it works. Okay, so I've decided, I haven't even tried this, so hopefully this finds it, but I've decided I want to go to a place called Iosepa. Let's see, how does this work? You'll be able to definitely tell that I am new to this. Okay, so I see, but you bounce between half the keyboard. Like that. Okay, there's this place, it's like a little ghost town / cemetery called Iosepa, spelled I-O-S-E-P-A. Iosepa, Utah. I found it. Okay, that's the first hurdle. It's out by Dugway where I used to work. Let's see what this does. Okay. Garmin Adventure Routing. Okay, so now if I turn up the Adventure, does it change anything? It doesn't seem like it changes anything. I guess there's just one way to get there. That's all right. Let's hit go and see where it takes me. Of course, the first thing I'm going to have to do is ignore what it tells me because I'm going to get some gas. Because out where I'm going, there are no gas stations. Alright, so I just got to the gas station, and this is a feature that I like. So I wired this into the bike on the accessory plug that is tied to the switch. And so when you turn off the power, it senses that power has been lost, and it just notifies you. So if I say cancel, it'll keep it on. But I'm kind of curious to see what happens if I just let it turn off while I get gas and I turn it back on, see if it keeps my route and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. Okay, so I have gotten gas. Let's see what happens when I turn this back on. Of course, it comes up with a warning saying, don't operate this while you're driving. And it did. It kept my route. So awesome, awesome. Alright, so these gloves that I have are not capacitive, so I don't know. Oh, I was able to touch it. That's nice. Okay, so far it's nice. It's got the speed. It's blinking red, or it's surrounded by red, so that means I'm going faster than the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. Nice little thing to be aware of. Tells me when I'm going to need a turn. So this will be interesting because I'm going to actually take a different route. There's kind of a back dirt road that's not paved, and so I'm going to see what happens if I go out that way, if it can like figure out how to get through unmapped territory. So if you've watched some of my other videos, you may have seen that for a while I've been using an old iPhone 8 Plus for my GPS, and it's been fine, it's been okay. It sometimes kind of wigs out, especially in the evenings. I don't know if it's the light happening or if it's dependent on kind of like how much it's bouncing around, but it'll like kind of pop up with different things, and it's not super bright, and I haven't found an app that I love. Oh look, it did. Of course, now it looks like it's going to try and get me to come back out to the street. So I'm just going to go the way out that I know to get to the street, just because I happen to know this little back unfinished area of town. So I'm not going to blame it. Google Maps tells me to do the same thing, so it doesn't surprise me. It's not like a it's not like a trail that somebody would have mapped for adventuring. It's just kind of back behind the city here. So we'll see. We'll see if it figures it out once I see. I'm going to go straight. It's telling me to turn right. Anyway, so yeah, the iPhone phone solution is okay. It's definitely not ideal if you're using a phone that you use for your phone. I had that iPhone 8 and it was locked. It was kind of a scam on eBay, but we ended up keeping the phone, or having to keep the phone. So I didn't have any need of the phone as a phone. But if you need your phone as a phone and you like your camera, then you got to be real careful mounting it to your bike. I've heard those anti-vibration quad locks work well and things like that, but you run a real risk of breaking the mounts on your camera if you mount it to your bike and you drive, especially if you drive off-road. Anyway, so I didn't love it. And then I got this new bike, the KTM 890 Adventure, and it had a little spot specifically for a GPS mount, and I thought, you know what, I think I'm going to take advantage of that. So I've been wanting a Zumo XT. They're kind of expensive. I had my eye on a refurbished one from Amazon, which was not as bad. I think I want to say it's like $390 the last time I looked. It kind of bounces between like $390 and $410. The price varies for whatever reason, but then I was about to buy one of those. In fact, I'll put a link to it if you want to check it out on Amazon. Get one of these for less than it costs new. They're certified refurbished, so you can probably depend on them to be okay. Yeah, so it's telling me to go back out that way. I think that the road it doesn't know about is this dirt road that kind of comes behind the city and pokes out there in Cedar Fort. But anyway, so yeah, I was about to buy one of these certified refurbished ones, but then I just saw in the classified ads in my area somebody was selling one. This guy, nice guy, retired military guy. It was just getting too small for him. Anyway, so I was able to get this for a good price, and got it all hooked up. This is my first time taking it out. I don't know a lot about it. I did pair it with my phone, so I should be able to listen to music. Anyway. All right, so this is where I'm not sure it's going to know what I'm doing. Well, it figured it out. So I don't know why it didn't take me this way when I upped the adventure. Maybe it doesn't think of this as adventurous. It's just less convenient. But right off the bat, I can tell it's a lot easier to see in the sunlight. It's a bright day, gorgeous day for a ride. It's about 80 degrees, maybe not even quite. Maybe it's like 78 degrees. 77 degrees. My bike tells me. So gorgeous day for a ride. Bright sun, and I can see the display on the Zumo XT just fine. The mount that I got, if you're looking at one of these specifically for a 790 Adventure or an 890 Adventure or the R flavors of those, you'll need to get there's a spot for the mount, but you need to get a separate piece that mounts to the mounting point that actually attaches to your Garmin. And so there's a KTM one specifically that you can buy, power parts, but it's quite a bit more expensive than the one I got, which is made by a Chinese company. It's a much cheaper version on Amazon, and it worked fine. The size of the Zumo XT was a little bit bigger than I think that mount was designed for, and I don't know if the power parts one made for KTM would be different, but this one I had to put in some like 1/4 inch spacers between the mounting point. I'll stop here in just a second and show you what I'm talking about. So these little aluminum spacers I put in there that just kind of pulled the unit out, because before it was really pushing into, I had to kind of pull the windshield out and my bike over. without the spacers. I was pulling this out and that didn't make me happy. So the little spacers made it fit perfectly. And I think I mentioned it earlier, but behind the headlight on this bike, KTM gives you two different sets of wires, one that is always on and one that is tied to the ignition switch. And of course the Garmin would work either way. There's pros and cons both ways. I'd rather just have it, you know, turn off the bike and know that it's going to turn off and I don't need to worry about it. But I will say I love the KTM. It's been really nice, but working on it is much more difficult just in general than like my Honda CRF 300L Rally. And as an example of that, getting to those wires behind the headlight was a pain in the butt. You can watch videos on it. I didn't want to make a video of me doing that because I was kind of fumbling my way through it myself, watching other people's videos. But yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know, there's like 12 steps to get the headlight off. I mean, you're taking off, you know, extra plastics and I don't know, it's a pain. So anyway, not a fan of how to get into those wires, but it's nice that they provide them. And you can see on the unit now that it did figure out how to get back out to the route through this back way that I'm going. Again, I don't know why I didn't pick this, other than it's a dirt road, but not an adventurous dirt road, so maybe it just doesn't add it into its calculation. Maybe it doesn't know that it's not paved, I don't know. So it doesn't replace experience, you know. Nothing takes the place of just knowing the area you're riding and knowing which way you want to take, but that is often not the case. And if I wouldn't have taken this back route and just followed the route that it recommended, I still would have ended up in the correct place. So, and one thing I'm excited to try now that I have this, you know, true GPS dedicated unit is I want to find other people's GPX files, you know, their routes that they've gone, because there's no algorithm for Garmin to decide if that's the best route for those. It just follows the route that somebody else mapped out for you. So I'm excited to grab some interesting looking GPS routes from the internet, maybe find some things that I haven't seen before, plug them into the Zumo and have a good time. And like I said, I'm going to a place called Iosepa. I had to look up how to pronounce that. Apparently that's the Hawaiian version of Joseph. It was settled by early Mormons who had come from Hawaii. So it was a Hawaiian settlement, which I guess ergo the Hawaiian way of spelling Joseph. I don't know this, but my guess is that since they were early Mormons, they named it after Joseph Smith, but don't quote me on that. It's just a guess. Anyway, I really love finding old ghost towns. I love looking for old cemeteries, and I've read that Iosepa has, well, it's both. I mean, it didn't look, from the pictures I saw on the internet, it didn't look like there's much of a town there, maybe some foundations, but there is an old cemetery there, so I'm excited to check that out. That's one of my things. I love old cemeteries. So this next section is just going to be kind of long and straight. I'm going to turn off the video, turn on my music, and see you in a bit. So I'm several miles into this, and I'm really liking this thing. It's great for controlling my music. It tells me that there's railroad tracks coming up. All right, let's see. Looks like it wants me to turn like right here. Is this it? I guess so. This looks like somebody's house, but Okay, well, get a little bit of off-roading in today. That's fun. Ooh, this is funky terrain here. I don't know if how deep the ruts are will come through on the video, but they definitely don't look like something I want to slip into. Now it's better. Look at that. They give me a cute little checkered flag at the end of my route. This is definitely not a maintained road, but man, look at these sunflowers. Super pretty. Oh, okay, it must be that pavilion looking thing up there. Whew, this is getting overrun here. Probably going to be pulling sunflowers out of my fairings and stuff when I get home. Look at that. There's even a sign. Iosepa bathrooms and a playground. Wow, this is an interesting little spot. I'm gonna hop off my bike and check it out. Ah, there's the cemetery out there. It looks like I think I can see it. Oh wow. Yeah, you can definitely tell these are Hawaiian people from the names. Makaopio, Kauhimawana, Waifapuhi Kauhimawana. That is crazy. Look at these lays down here. That is so awesome. Iosepa Historical Monument. This is so neat. I mean, obviously people come here. But it just seems so just overrun with sunflowers and just doesn't seem very easy to get to. Normally I don't like walking around in these big chunky seedy boots. They're not the best hikers, but all these prickly weeds that are everywhere make me happy to not be wearing just sneakers. Danny Otto Salito. I think I have a new idea for my grave marker. Been to a lot of old cemeteries. I just love them, but this one is really unique. It's like a oil barrel with this iron sculpture on the top. And some of these look fairly new, 2017. So they just must have plots here, and this is the family cemetery. Sheehans, I know some Sheehans, 2018. This seems a little eerie to me. Like somebody just buried somebody with a shovel. Bruce the Kid. Like maybe they did, you know, maybe this is, I don't know, I don't know how regulated this is, but it's just, that is interesting. there's the shovels. Guest register. Gotta leave my mark here. There's basketball. Picnic tables. I mean, people just must come out here and make a day out of it. Alright, so while I'm stopped here in Iosepa at my destination that I got to successfully because of the Zumo XT, now is as good a time as any to go over it in more detail. And again, I just got this, so there's probably lots of features that it has that I'm not using. I don't know what the track is. Looks like maybe, okay, that's just gonna maybe make a map of my journey. I should have done that at the beginning. That would have been cool. I'll do it on the way back. But it's been really the number one thing that I like about it is it's very intuitive. When I'm writing, if I'm doing something else, like I was switching between my music and the map frequently. So I'd hit music. If I didn't like the song I was listening to, I could hit next. And this pairs really easily with my iPhone, and I'm using Spotify, so I was worried that maybe it wouldn't work very well if I wasn't using iTunes or Apple Music, but it works just fine with Spotify at least, and it shows the cover art. Not that I care while I'm driving, but it's nice. The technology is there, and it was very easy to pair with my phone, and I like having that just kind of in front of me as I'm going. And then if I want to just switch back to the map, that's very easy to do on the fly. One thing that's interesting is that, and this is one of those things where your mileage may vary, but these gloves that I got, these Climb gloves, I really like them, but they do not have capacitive fingertips. And when I had my phone mounted here, they didn't work at all. But for whatever reason, they do work. I don't know how precise they are, but I was able to hit things well enough to navigate really easily while I was riding. Not that I'm recommending you navigate your GPS while you're riding, but I did, and it was easy. And I was using gloves that aren't actually made to be able to touch a touch screen. So I'm not saying that they're going to work with your non-touch screen gloves, but for whatever reason, they worked with mine. Now, one of the features that it has that I have not used, I probably never will use, but you have the ability to download satellite imagery onto your device itself. So if you'd prefer not to look at just kind of graphical representations of hills and roads, you can download the imagery with one huge caveat in my mind, in that you can't do it in bulk. You have to do it square by square. I'm not sure how big the squares are, maybe a mile by mile, but I couldn't just say, even if I had the space for it, I couldn't say just download all of Utah. And I know they do that because of space. You know, somebody might hit that and it's trying to pull down 500 gigabytes of data. But it would be nice if you didn't have to do it so manually. And I don't really care. I mean, it might be nice if you're actually out hiking with this thing, or in terrain where it would, it's like, oh, there's a tree and I see that, so we're in the right place. I don't know. There may be circumstances where it would be really useful, not just nifty looking, but I don't think I'll have any of those. So I'll probably never use it. Speaking of space, like if you did go square by square and downloaded, 400 gigabytes, you're not going to have enough space on the storage that it has built in, but you can put an additional memory card into it. I don't know what the limits are, but I imagine you could put a 512 gigabyte memory card in there, and then you could download whatever you want. I don't know if you can download music to it or things like that. You probably can. I again, not a feature I would ever use, because I would just use the music on my phone and use this to control my phone. But it is there. There's also features like if other people have the same device, I think you can kind of tie it to them so you can see your buddies on your map. None of my buddies have this, so again, not something that's very applicable to me. But something that I really do like about it a lot is that it's all Wi-Fi. You don't ever need to, you can, but you don't ever need to take this off, plug it into a computer. As long as you have Wi-Fi where your bike is, for instance, your garage. I keep mine in my garage, and I've got great Wi-Fi in my garage. So I just joined my Wi-Fi network, and I can get the firmware updates, map updates, whatever I need. If I was going to be downloading satellite imagery, I could do it there without ever taking this off the bike. And that's another thing that I should mention, just because I see it come up a lot in forums about GPS units in general. And I think this is usually more a question from people who are maybe my age or older. In the old days, at the advent of GPS, almost all of them you had to buy updated maps or a subscription to keep them current. And so a lot of people say, does this have free updates, free maps for life? And the answer is yes. You'll never need to pay for additional maps, with the one exception that if you actually leave like the continent, they have a separate set of maps, I guess, for like North America, Europe, probably Asia, I don't know. Like say I took this to Europe with me, or Asia, I would have to buy like the Asia map set or whatever from Garmin, and then that would have to go on probably that external memory card. That's not something I plan on doing. If I ever go riding over there, I'll probably rent a bike that hopefully has a GPS unit. So again, not a big deal to me. I love that it shows you your speed. It's really nice, especially when most bikes that I've ridden at least don't have exact speedometers. For whatever reason, all the bikes that I've had, even the ones that I've bought brand new, they read a little bit high, 5%. The speedometer shows you going 5% faster or so than you're actually going. So it's nice to be able to see your exact speed on the GPS. And it's also nice when you're on a road that the GPS has the info for, when it shows the speed limit, it shows you that you're speeding, kind of surrounds it in red, which is a nice reminder if you're worried about that. A couple things that I don't love, I guess, when I was punching in, I don't love the, I don't love the split keyboard like this. For me, I'd rather it just be smaller letters and have all 26 letters on the screen rather than switch between them like this. And maybe there's a way to change that. I know there's a way to change it so it's not in QWERTY but alphabetical. So if you're not a typist and familiar with the QWERTY keyboard and you'd rather just see things in alphabetical order, I know that's a pretty easy change. But anyway, definitely not a big deal. But I don't love that, split keyboard thing. And based on the beginning of my ride, it definitely doesn't replace, like it doesn't know my home area as well as I do. And I wouldn't expect it to. But it knows the rest of, North America much better than I do. So that's why I like it. I didn't know where this was. Now, do I need something like this? Of course not. I mean, there's a million different ways with today's technology that I could have found Iosepa. I could have done it on my phone GPS. I could have looked it up before I came and wrote down directions. Maybe there's not a million, but there are several ways that I could do it with today's technology. I don't need to spend a whole bunch of money on a dedicated GPS. I just really like the convenience of it. And backtracking just a little bit, I mentioned that you never need to take this off to do updates if you're near Wi-Fi. And I love that feature, but it's also worth noting that it is super easy to take off if you want to. There's just this clip, this mount. If you're buying this new, you should get this mount, and this mount mounts to, this is the aftermarket mount that I bought from Amazon. I added these aluminum spacers to pull it out just a little bit because it was hitting the windshield. But anyway, this is just a quick release mount that comes with the unit, and you can see the power just comes through these little touch connectors here, so you never need to worry about unplugging anything. They just touch that right there. So if you want to take it in, you can. If you are worried about it getting stolen, if you stop at a hotel for the night or whatever, you can just pop it off, put it in your bag, your pocket. Super easy. I guess the flip side to that is, if you're not the type of person who's going to take it off all the time, just keep in mind that somebody else could. It would be very easy to just walk up and grab this and walk away with it. And I don't think that there's a way, there may be, but I don't think that there's a way to like lock it down with Garmin and say, hey, somebody stole this, so don't let them use it. I could be wrong on that. Definitely don't quote me, but in any case, just remember, it's super easy for you to take off, but it's also super easy for anybody else to take it off. So that quick release is a little bit of a double-edged sword. And that is all that I can think of to talk about right now. There's an apps button here. I don't even know what these are. A trip planner. Okay, so obviously lots of oh, there is a music player, so you can probably put MP3s or something directly on the device if you want. The owner's manual is built in. That's nice. It looks like I can probably pair it with my InReach here. I'll have to try that. Power switch, share route, so that obviously I can probably save a route and shoot it over to, I don't know, let's see what happens if I... Okay, so it's looking for another Garmin to talk to directly. The bird's eye direct, this is that the satellite imagery that I was talking about that you can download. Again, I know that's there. I'll probably never use it. Again, I'm going to try the track for my way home just to kind of check that out. And I think that's it. But overall, I'm very happy with it. Do you need one? Not if you don't want one. I mean, like I said, there's lots of different ways to accomplish what I'm doing with this. But the bike just seems built for it. I love how clear the screen is, even in the sunlight. And there may be apps that are this intuitive, that just kind of are always on for a phone or an iPad, but I've never found one that I liked, especially one that you don't have to pay like a yearly or monthly subscription to. So I like there's no subscription. It's a one and done thing. And yeah, it's a fun toy, but you don't need it. Fun toy though. Oh, real quick, I just noticed this gas. I'm guessing if I punch that. Okay, so it'll keep track of your fuel. That actually may be nice for the KTM, because one of my biggest beefs with the KTM, and one of a lot of people's biggest beefs with this KTM, is that it only tracks your last half of your tank. So like if I got here where I am right now, and I've just been driving straight away from my house, if all of a sudden I saw that it was less than half a tank, I'd be screwed. I would know that I don't have enough gas to get home. And that's kind of annoying, because if I could see the full gas tank, then I would have known way beforehand that, oh, I'm getting low, I better not keep going out to Iosepa. But anyway, so, you know, most people do it with their odometer or their tripometer, but it's just one of those things. It's like, this is a super high-tech bike, loads of stuff that just blows me away. Traction control is mind-boggling, and I'm like, but they can't put a fuel gauge that goes all the way up to a whole tank. So this might be something that I'll fiddle with, putting my fuel in here so it will keep track of how far I've gone for me. I don't know, it'll probably just be one more step at a gas station that I'll never think about, but kind of cool. Anyway, so I'm going to head back home. I wish I would have had my camera on just a second ago. A couple of deer just jumped right out in front of me. Luckily, far enough that I didn't hit them, but it was cool to see. I have a dash cam that a company sent me to evaluate, and I just haven't installed it yet. It would just be cool for making these videos to have a constant stream that I can pull from. I'm gonna have to get on that, not only because, you know, I said I'd give it a try and review it for them, but also I just want it. So look for that video coming up in the, I don't know, future. I'm not going to say near at this point, because I don't know what my schedule is going to be like, but in the future you'll see a video of my new little dash cam. Alright, well, I hope this video has been helpful, interesting, and or entertaining. As always, I appreciate you watching my videos. Subscribe to my channel if you feel like it. Ride safe.